The road through Pinewood Forest. Look, I know you probably won't believe me. Hell, I wouldn't believe me either if I hadn't lived through it. But I need to tell someone about what happened on Route 47 last October, because I can't keep carrying this alone anymore. And because I think it might still be out there. My name's David Chen, and I'm a perfectly normal guy. I'm an accountant from Portland. I drive a sensible Honda Civic. I pay my taxes on time. I'm not the kind of person who believes in ghost stories or unexplained phenomena or any of that supernatural bullshit. At least, I wasn't. It was October 23rd, a Thursday. I remember the date exactly because I'd been at a conference in Bend and I was supposed to be home by 7 for my daughter Emma's birthday dinner. She was turning 9. My wife Sarah had texted me 3 times reminding me not to be late, and I'd promised, sworn on everything, that I'd make it. The conference ran long, of course, they always do. By the time I got out of there, it was already past 5:30, and I had a 3-hour drive ahead of me. I should have just called Sarah, told her I'd be late, taken the main highway like I always did. But I was desperate. I couldn't miss Emma's birthday again, not after last year. So when I saw the turnoff for Route 47, I took it. Now, Route 47 isn't on most GPS systems anymore. It's one of those old logging roads that cuts straight through the Pinewood Forest, shaving maybe 45 minutes off the trip if you're willing to drive through absolute darkness on a 2-lane road with no cell service and no streetlights. Most people aren't willing. I'd never taken it before, but I'd heard about it from guys at work. They said it was fine, just creepy, a little unsettling at night, but perfectly safe. They were wrong about that last part. The sun was setting as I turned onto Route 47, painting the sky this beautiful orange and pink that filtered through the pine trees. It was actually gorgeous at first, peaceful, you know? The road was smooth, recently paved in some sections, and I was making good time. I remember thinking I might actually make it home before 7:30. Maybe I could pull this off after all. But then the sun went down, and I mean really went down. If you've never driven through an old-growth forest at night, you can't understand how dark it gets. It's not like city darkness, where there's always ambient light bouncing around. This was absolute, suffocating blackness. My headlights carved out this little tunnel of light ahead of me, and beyond that, nothing. Just solid black wall of trees pressing in from both sides. I turned on the radio to break up the silence, but all I got was static. Nothing but white noise and occasional sharp crackles that made me jump. I turned it off. That's when I started noticing the trees. At first, I thought I was just tired, you know? Your eyes play tricks on you when you've been staring at a dark road for too long. But I swear, and I know how this sounds, the trees looked wrong. The way my headlights hit them, they seemed to lean inward over the road, like they were bending down to look at me. Their branches reached out across the asphalt like gnarled fingers, creating these twisted shadows that moved as I drove past. I laughed at myself. Jesus, I actually laughed out loud in the car, trying to break the tension. Getting spooked by trees, David, real mature. But my voice sounded small and swallowed up in that car, like the darkness outside was pressing against the windows, absorbing everything. I'd been driving for maybe 40 minutes when I saw the first sign. It was old, rusted, barely visible in my headlights. The reflective paint had worn off years ago. It said, "No services next 60 miles. 60 miles with half a tank of gas and no cell service? I should have turned around right then. That's what my gut was screaming at me to do. But I was already committed, you know? And I was still making good time. I checked my phone, no signal, obviously, and saw it was 6:47. I could still make it. That's when I saw the deer. It was standing in the middle of the road, maybe 50 yards ahead, just at the edge of my headlights' range. A big buck with a massive rack of antlers. It was just standing there, staring at my car. I laid on the horn.
The sound was deafening in the quiet of the forest, and I expected the deer to bolt, but it didn't. It didn't even flinch. It just kept staring at me with those red eyes. I stopped the car about 20 feet away from it, heart pounding now, and that's when it moved. But it didn't run. It turned its head, just its head, not its body, and looked off into the trees to my left. Then it looked back at me, and I swear to God, I will swear on anything you want me to swear on. That deer smiled at me. I know deer can't smile, I know that, but its lips pulled back from its teeth in something that looked exactly like a grin. Then it walked off the road into the forest, not in a panic, not running, just walking calmly into the darkness like it had all the time in the world. I sat there for a full minute, hands gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles were white, trying to rationalize what I'd just seen. Weird reflection, trick of the light. I was tired, stressed about being late. My mind was playing tricks on me, but my hands were shaking when I pressed the accelerator again. The road got worse after that, narrower, more winding. The pavement was cracked and buckled in places, like roots were pushing up from underneath. And the trees, God, the trees just kept getting closer and closer until their branches were scraping against the top of my car as I drove, making these horrible scratching sounds. I wanted to turn around. Every instinct I had was screaming at me to turn around, but the road was too narrow. There was nowhere to turn around. I had to keep going forward. That's when I noticed I hadn't seen any mile markers for a while, or any signs actually. The last sign I'd seen was that no services one, and that had to be at least 20 minutes ago. The road just kept going on and on, winding through the darkness, and I had no idea how much farther I had to go. I checked my phone again, still no signal, but the time was wrong. It said 6:51. That couldn't be right. I'd been driving for at least 20 minutes since I last checked, probably more like 30, but according to my phone, only 4 minutes had passed. I looked at my dashboard clock. It said 7:32. My watch said 6:49, and as I stared at my watch, the second hand stopped moving, just stopped, frozen in place like the universe had paused. Then it ticked backwards. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. No, I said out loud. No, 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 this is not happening.
I pressed the accelerator harder, speeding up to 60, then 70. The car bounced and shuddered over the deteriorating road, but I didn't care. I just wanted out of that forest. I wanted to see streetlights and buildings and other cars, evidence that the normal world still existed. That's when I saw the other car. It was parked on the side of the road up ahead, half hidden in the trees. An old sedan, maybe from the 80s or 90s, covered in rust and pine needles. The driver's side door was hanging open. I should have kept driving, I know that, but something made me slow down. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was the desperate hope that there was someone else out here, someone who could tell me I wasn't going crazy. Maybe something else made me stop, something that wanted me to. I pulled up alongside the abandoned car and put mine in park, leaving the engine running and the headlights on. For a long moment, I just sat there, looking at that open door swinging slightly in the breeze. There was no breeze. I rolled down my window. Don't ask me why, it was the stupidest thing I could have done, and called out, "Hello? Anyone there? Do you need help?" My voice disappeared into the forest like it had been absorbed by a sponge. No echo, no response, just silence. And then, from deep in the trees, I heard it. A voice, a woman's voice, crying, sobbing, calling out, "Help me! Please, someone help me!" Every rational part of my brain was telling me this was wrong. This was so obviously wrong. This was every horror movie cliche in the book. But you have to understand, when you're actually there, when you're actually hearing someone crying for help in the darkness, your instincts take over. You want to help. You're compelled to help.
grabbed my phone, useless, but it had a flashlight, and got out of the car. The cold hit me immediately. It had to be 20 degrees colder outside the car than it had been inside, and I could see my breath misting in the air. The temperature had dropped impossibly fast. It had been a mild evening when I'd gotten on Route 47. "Hello?" I called again, shining my phone's light into the forest. "Where are you?" "Please," the voice sobbed. "I'm hurt. I can't move. Please help me." I took a step toward the tree line, then another. The light from my phone seemed to be absorbed by the darkness, creating this small bubble of dim illumination that made everything beyond it seem even darker by comparison. "Keep talking. I'm coming to help you. Where are you?" "Here," she said. "I'm right here." The voice was close now, really close, maybe 10 feet away, just beyond my light. I took another step forward, sweeping my phone's light back and forth, looking for her. That's when I saw the trees. They had faces. I don't mean like bark patterns that kind of looked like faces if you squinted. I mean actual faces, carved or grown into the trunks. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all around me. Human faces frozen in expressions of terror and agony, their mouths open in silent screams, their eyes wide and hollow. And they were looking at me. As I moved my light, their eyes followed me. "What the fuck?" I whispered. "Please," the voice said again, but it was different now. It was coming from directly in front of me, but also from behind me, and from the left and from the right, surrounding me. "Help me, help me, help me." Multiple voices now, all saying the same thing, all with the same sobbing tone. Men, women, children, a chorus of pleading voices in the darkness. I stumbled backward, and that's when I heard the other sound. It was like, imagine if a tree could breathe. Deep, slow, wheezing breaths that made the branches above me creak and groan. And with each breath, I swear the trees were moving closer. Not walking, not in any way that made sense, but when I looked away and then looked back, they were closer, inches closer each time. I ran. I sprinted back to my car, my phone's light bouncing wildly, those faces in the trees watching me go. I could hear footsteps behind me, heavy, thudding footsteps that didn't sound human, something big moving through the forest, keeping pace with me. I reached my car and threw myself inside, slamming the door and locking it. My headlights were still on, illuminating that abandoned sedan, and standing next to it, visible now, was a figure. It looked like a woman at first glance, long hair, wearing what might have been a dress. But as I stared at it, trying to make sense of what I was seeing, I realized the proportions were all wrong. The arms were too long, hanging down past the knees. The head was tilted at an angle that would have broken a human neck. And it was walking toward my car. Not quickly, just a slow, steady walk, one foot in front of the other, taking its time, like it knew I couldn't go anywhere. I threw the car into drive and stomped on the gas. The tires spun on the dirt and pine needles before catching, and I shot forward, swerving back onto the road. In my rearview mirror, I could see the figure standing in the middle of the road, watching me go. It raised one of those two long arms and waved. I drove faster than I've ever driven in my life, 80, 90 miles an hour on that winding, broken road. I didn't care if I crashed. I didn't care about anything except getting out of that forest. The trees were a blur on either side of me now, and I could almost swear they were reaching out, trying to grab the car. Branches scraped along the sides, the roof, leaving long scratches in the paint. Something heavy hit my windshield, a branch maybe, or something else, and a web of cracks spread across the glass. And then I saw them, standing along the sides of the road, appearing every few hundred yards, more figures, dozens of them, all with those wrong proportions, all with their heads tilted at impossible angles, all watching me drive past. Some of them started walking into the road, stepping right out in front of my car. I had to swerve around them, narrowly missing trees, the car fishtailing on the loose gravel. One of them slammed its hands onto my hood as I passed, and I heard the metal crumple. Its face pressed against the windshield for a split second. I saw its eyes, completely black, and its mouth open far too wide, and then I was past it. My fuel gauge was dropping, impossibly fast. I'd had half a tank when I saw the deer. Now I was down to a quarter, then an eighth. The low fuel light came on. No, 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 I chanted, gripping the wheel. Please, please don't stop. The engine started to sputter. I could see more of those figures up ahead, not just along the road anymore. They were in the road, forming a line across it, blocking the way. There had to be 20 of them, all standing shoulder to shoulder, except their shoulders were at different heights because their bodies were all wrong. I wasn't gonna stop. I couldn't stop. I pressed the accelerator to the floor, even though the engine was coughing and choking. The figures didn't move as I approached. They just stood there, waiting. I was maybe 100 yards away when I saw what was behind them. It was tall. I don't know how else to describe it. Maybe 20 feet tall, maybe more, standing in the center of the road. It had to bend down to fit under the trees. Its body was like a tree trunk, rough and bark-covered, but it had limbs that bent and moved like arms and legs. And its head was made of faces. All those faces from the trees pressed together, overlapping, melting into each other. Dozens of mouths all opening and closing out of sync. Dozens of eyes all blinking at different times, all looking at me. It raised one massive arm and pointed at me, and all the figures in the road, all at once, opened their mouths and screamed. It wasn't a human sound. It was like metal scraping metal, like trees splitting in a storm, like every nightmare sound you've ever heard compressed into one horrible shriek that went on and on and on. My car died, just died. The engine cut out, the headlights went dark, and I was rolling forward in darkness and silence, except for that scream. I was gonna hit them. I was gonna plow right into them, and whatever that thing was behind them, and I was gonna die on this road, and no one would ever find me. I closed my eyes, and then light, bright, beautiful light flooding through my windshield, and sound, not screaming, but music. The radio had come back on, blasting some pop song I'd never been so happy to hear. I opened my eyes. I was on a normal road. Streetlights, a gas station up ahead, cars passing in the other direction. The Welcome to Portland sign lit up on the side of the highway. I looked in my rearview mirror. Behind me was just normal road. No forest, no Route 47, just the regular highway I should have taken in the first place. My dashboard clock said 7:15 p.m. I'd somehow made perfect time. I pulled into that gas station and got out on shaking legs. My car looked normal. No scratches from branches, no dent in the hood where that thing had hit it. The windshield was intact. The fuel gauge showed half a tank. The attendant inside looked at me weird when I stumbled in, probably because I was pale and sweating and looked like I'd seen a ghost. I asked him where I was, and he told me I was on Highway 26, about 15 minutes outside Portland. "How did you get here?" he asked, concerned. "You look like you've been through hell." "I took Route 47 through Pinewood Forest." He stared at me for a long moment. Then he said, very quietly, "Route 47's been closed for 20 years. They sealed it off after what happened." "What happened?" I asked, but he just shook his head and wouldn't say anything else. I made it to Emma's birthday dinner. I walked in at 7:23, and Sarah was so shocked that I was not only on time but early that she actually teared up a little. Emma was thrilled. We had cake and presents, and it was perfect. But I couldn't stop thinking about what the gas station attendant had said. The next day, I went to the library. I looked up everything I could find about Route 47 and Pinewood Forest. There wasn't much. Most of the records seemed to have been scrubbed or removed, but I found some old newspaper articles from 1998. Apparently, 23 people went missing on Route 47 over the course of 1 month that year. Entire families, truckers, teenagers on road trips. They all just vanished. Some of their cars were found abandoned along the road. Most were never found at all. The state sealed off both ends of Route 47 after that, put up barriers, tore out the road signs. According to the articles, they were planning to demolish the road entirely, but the project was abandoned for reasons that were never made public. One article included a quote from a park ranger who'd been part of the search and rescue operations. He said, "We found evidence that all 23 victims were in the forest at the same time, even though they disappeared weeks apart. It was like the forest kept them somehow, preserved them. We found their belongings, their clothes, but no bodies. And the trees. There was something wrong with the trees." He refused to elaborate. I tried to find Route 47 on Google Maps, on every GPS app I could download. It's not there. It's like the road never existed. But I know it did. I know it does. Sometimes, late at night, I dream about that road. I dream I'm driving on it again, and those figures are standing along the sides, watching me pass. And in my dreams, they wave to me like old friends. Last week, I drove past that turnoff where I'd gotten on to Route 47, the one my GPS doesn't show. The road is still there. The barriers are gone. There's a new sign, freshly painted, that says Route 47, Scenic Route, next exit. I'm not the only one who's seen it. I've found posts on obscure internet forums from other people who've driven that road. Most of them say similar things to what I experienced. A few say different things, worse things. One post from 3 weeks ago said, "I made it through Route 47. I got out, but I think I brought something back with me. Last night, I saw it standing outside my bedroom window. That woman with the 2 long arms. She was waving at me. My window is on the 2nd floor." That post was the person's last activity. They haven't posted since. I don't know what's in Pinewood Forest. I don't know what that thing was that I saw. I don't know if it was something that's always been there, or if it's something that grew from whatever happened to those 23 people, or if it's something else entirely. What I do know is that Route 47 is open again. The barriers are gone, and people are taking that road thinking they'll save time, thinking they'll make it home for dinner. If you're ever driving through Oregon and you see a sign for Route 47, a scenic route through Pinewood Forest that promises to cut time off your trip, I'm begging you, don't take it. Take the long way. Be late. Miss your appointment. It doesn't matter. Because some roads don't take you where you want to be. Some roads take you where they want you to be. And Route 47 is hungry. I know, because sometimes when I'm driving at night, I see it in my rearview mirror, that tall figure made of faces standing in the middle of whatever road I'm on, watching me drive away. It's getting closer each time. It thinks it's following me home.